I'd like to call Finance Administration Committee to order. Please note attendance. All council members are here. Washington and Mayhew are online. And we will proceed into the agenda. Let me get the agenda. Dynamic. Oh, sorry, I lost the agenda. All right, we can scroll down a little bit. We'll run from there for a minute. All right. Any objections to approving the agenda as presented, or any changes desired by anybody in any of the committee or administration? If so, please raise your hands. If not, I will assume the agenda is approved as submitted. We'll move on. Consideration of claims and warrant or claims approval report dated June 26, 2023. Chair has no questions or changes. Any of the other committee members have questions or comments against the warrants?
No questions for me at this point.
Okay. And Jim, I saw your head. All right, we'll go on. So unless there are objections, we'll accept the claims approval as presented and move on. Hearing no objections, it is accepted. Let's go to Agenda Bill 23077, Riverwalk Property Acquisition.
Hello, council members. My name is Emily Arteche, Community Development Director here at City of Snoqualmie. This agenda bill should look familiar to you as you looked at it and reviewed it at your previous meeting. We have brought the agenda bill back to allow for clean out of the property located at 7702 Railroad Avenue Southeast. It is identified as a Riverwalk acquisition property, and we are here today to continue to move forward with this agenda bill, which would authorize the mayor to sign a purchase and sale agreement for property identification number ending in 0425.
All right, committee members, any questions or discussion? Councilmember May, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in the past on these acquisitions during the time that I've been on the council, we have, I believe, generally met the matching requirement. Sorry, I'm just switching to the screen that has this. Yeah, make sure I'm using the right term. Yeah, matching requirement by using flood district grant funds. And so we've been able to, by using the two different sources, end up, as I understand it, acquiring these properties without using city funds or city source funds, you know, just using the grant funds from the two sources. So I'm just curious, it doesn't look like that's the case here, and just curious, is there a reason why we're not doing that, or can we do that, or sort of any thoughts on that?
Right, yeah, that's a good observation. The city is using what we call banked match. I know the terminology can get confusing, but over the course of, I don't know, the last decade, the city did pair up with flood control district money, and oftentimes the residual of that, what we didn't use with the flood control district money and the CFT money was just banked, and we accrued a large credit. At this point, we're asking the flood control, the CFT parks levy to cash out on that banked match, and then we would just pay a small residual amount left over, which is shown here in the red at 23,290.
Okay, let me see if I understand what you said. So what I thought when I read this, it seemed to be saying, yeah, now I'm confused. When I read this, it seemed to be saying that we were going to be using REIT money. And so it sounds like you just said we're going to use CFT money, but then, and the question I was asking is, whether we could use flood control district grant money. So there's sort of three sources
Yeah.
kicking around. I'm getting a little confused. Could you help
Sure,
sort me
yeah,
out?
let me try once again. So there are generally three funding sources: CFT, flood control district, and then city money. There's this extra fourth, if I could just elaborate on that a little bit. CFT has two funds that are roughly $1 million, but they also have this banked match. So anytime the city didn't need to use the full amount that we were asking for on a 50%, they just credited the city. At this point, we're asking to cash in on our credit. We are still waiting for that flood control district money to come online. We're working through the King County Flood Control District and King County Council to get an approval on a new agreement for funding, as the old agreement that we had expired at the end of 2022. So in this case, a property popped up. We looked at, the banked match that we had with CFT. We knew that there was a small residual left over that we would have to pay for out of pocket. So yeah, we showed that we had it budgeted as a line item in REIT, and that we could tap into that along with this banked match. And that's how you see the property cost, the city portion of the property cost being so low.
Got it. Okay, let me see if I can feed this back and see if I've got it right. The primary source of funding here is a CFT grant. The most of the 50% match, in fact, will be met with banked prior CFT funds. And if that's a correct understanding, great job on keeping track of that. Just kudos. That's great work. And then we have a small amount left. If I'm understanding this correctly, yes, in the past, we've often used flood control district grants for that. At this stage, at this moment, we don't have a flood control district grant available to us. We're in the process of applying for that and putting that back in place. But as of today, we don't have that. So if we want to move forward with this today, we would need to use that REIT money. It's the 23,000 here. And sort of that's kind of where we stand today. Did I get that right?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yep.
In that case, I would just say, Chair, great work by staff. And I think for the 23,000, we should move forward. And it's great to hear that they're moving to restore, or at least applying to restore grants from flood control district. But it seems like this is the right way to go today, in my view. That's
right. And just to add one more, we are anticipating another grant coming in from King County. It's called River Corridors. So we've been recommended as a high likely candidate to receive that money, and we'll let you know in the fall as soon as we hear back.
Great work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Consent or non-consent on this one? Good story, but I kind of loaded non-consent, as you'll see later. So I have no problem with this one. There's a good story going on consent. Councilor May, your hand up.
Well, as you know, I'm not in favor of good story. This does not appear to be a controversial item, and therefore I don't think it needs council time. Given the 23,000 that, and I think it's laid out. I was just sort of being sure in my questions, but, and of course, someone can always pull it off consent, but it seems like this is non-controversial. I'd say consent.
All right, let's move forward. Consent.
Agree, Brian. Consent. It's pretty straightforward. I know that we talked about it last time as well. So to me, seems like a consent item.
All right. Thank you. We'll move forward with that one on consent. Let's go to the next one, which will be Agenda Bill 23085, Madrona Law Group. Did I get that right?
Madrona.
Madrona Law Group First Amendment Agreement. Sorry. Who will talk this with us?
I've been elected the lucky person. So what before you is
Election? Or just-
it was a look. Um, so what is before you is a proposal to enter into a contract for Madrona Law Group to continue the city attorney services with David Linehan. We find him to be very responsive and quite frankly, he's knocking it out of the park. So in order to concentrate our recruitment efforts in other key positions, it's our recommendation to go ahead and get this larger contract put in place so that we can continue to use him and he can continue his excellent work in our behalf.
So, and help me with the budget analysis on this, Drew. What's the impact of this?
Well, so in essence, if we keep the two positions within the city attorney's office vacant through, what did I say? Through December of 2023, and then you add on top of that the $50,000 of the $200,000 that we had set aside for additional contract legal support. You take that total amount of money, that's enough to sustain David Linehan and Madrona Law Group, ideally, or at least at a minimum through November 6th, the week of November 6th of 2023. It's assuming if he works 40 hours a week on behalf of the city. If that's not the case, if there's less hours actually required or needed within the city, then that would actually go out a little bit farther. So in essence, we're using salary savings through December of 2023 in order to support this contract. In addition, taking that $50,000 from the $200,000 council set aside in the budget for contract legal support to apply it towards this.
And he is not working 40 hours a week.
No, he's not.
Yeah, not even close.
So what I've done is given you a very conservative estimate, basically.
Councilor Mayor, your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to ask a follow-up to make sure I understood that, because I had somehow formed a different idea in my head when I read the agenda bill. So, Mr. Boutte, just to make sure I understood you, we have in the current budget salary for a position that's now vacant,
Correct?
and we have an additional 200,000 specifically for legal services that are in the budget. And so this doesn't, this proposal, this agenda bill tonight wouldn't go beyond that funding. In fact, there'll still be 150,000 in available funds for additional legal work. It's just that we're going to assign, we're going to authorize this contract that would use up to an amount equal to the vacant salary amount plus the sum of the 200,000 legal budget. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. So in essence, what you're describing and what we're trying to describe here is an offset. We've tried to find an offset within the city attorney's budget in order to accommodate this contract. And so in essence, we're not asking for an increase in the appropriation of the office's budget.
Got it. Okay, that makes a ton of sense to me. Let me just ask I'm doing this, I got split screen. Sorry if I say the wrong number. The 195, which I think is an amount equal to salary savings. Did you calculate that just as gross salary? Did you also include savings on things like employer taxes?
That includes things like savings on employer taxes and benefits. And so
okay.
on. Yeah.
So we got a pretty good, but still we see the amount here, and we see we still got 150 left for other matters that might require it, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any objections to this moving forward as a consent item?
No objection.
No objection.
Hearing none, we'll move this one forward as on consent. Let me get back to the agenda. I think we're off into All right, that concludes the agenda bills for F&A. We have discussion items of ERP update from Sarah Reeder. Sarah, you online?
She's right
There
there.
you are.
She's walking.
Oh, you're a real person.
I did. I just magically
God.
appeared out of nowhere. Yep. Good evening. Okay. So we are getting close to the first phase launching in August with our initial rollout. So a lot of things to kind of go over, just kind of give a progress update, some things that are coming down the line. Our soft launch of finance, which is all the modules that we currently do today in Springbrook, will be moving August 1st still to Tyler Munis. That'll include everything from our general ledger transactions, our general billing, accounts receivables, and budget, along with accounts payable. After that, we'll continue the rest of the year to roll out the new features that we did not previously have in the finance modules, everything from automated purchasing to vendor setup and things like that, self-service. So to kind of look at the next 6 months, well, actually it's probably 8 months there, but these are the rollouts for 6 months. August, again, is general ledger, what I just mentioned, all the different ones will be rolling out. November, we'll start project accounting and contract management. December, we'll finish out the purchase orders, general billings, and vendor self-service. And then in January, we start all of the human resources, payroll, and employee self-service. So right now, what we've been able to do is during this time, we've cleaned up all of we've been cleaning up the financial data, being able to go through and update different vendors and different customers, making sure we have all the proper information that we should be keeping, and starting the process of getting rid of old data that we no longer need. We have really been working cross-departmentally. We've started doing and bringing in what's called Tyler cashiering, which is actually going to be used by all the departments. It'll centralize and reduce the amount of work that has to happen to record transactions. It'll all automatically exist, whether you are in Parks and Public Works or community development, instead of having to reach out to finance to have Kyla, our accountant, add your transaction in. It'll automatically happen, taking down that work and have automatic approval process. We will then continue on with reporting and looking at business profit or business permit and licensing later this year. That'll be something we'll come back to the table with probably at the end of July to discuss further and what that'll entail. And then we'll start in the following year looking at the transparency and really reporting and the tools we can use so that the city can really be looked at from both inside and outside as to what's going on. So this is just a very high level overview of the calendar. There's more here than there's been previously. Since we've really learned, and the biggest lessons learned coming out of the finance is there's a lot of work to do. And there's a lot of work to do beforehand and a lot of work to do afterwards. We've struggled with some of the things with Tyler over the last year, and some of the really big pieces being this is our project, this is what we do. That doesn't work for us. We're a smaller city. They're set up for multiple size governments. We're doing it our way. And it's working much better. We're staying on track. We're doing an increment of processes, a lot more from a project management term perspective, agile processes, trying things, fixing them, and moving forward, which is letting us stay on pace right now. So nothing big. I'm looking forward to celebrating in August, to be honest. But other than that, really, we're in a good, I keep feeling like I'm going to jinx something. We're in a good place, and knock on wood, and I feel confident where we're at. Any questions?
Councilor Mayhew?
Yeah, so great news, good. Although nervous times, we're getting closer, right?
Yes.
To the deadline. You mentioned one thing and I wanted to double back and see if I understood what it meant, or maybe get a little deeper understanding. You said, and forgive me, I'm probably going to get your words wrong. I don't mean to misquote you. I thought you said something to the effect that automated approval.
Yes.
And so I just want to figure out what exactly that means. We have, I think, in the city's purchasing policy approved by the council, kind of a matrix that lays out for different amounts and different types of purchases what the approval requirements. When you say automated, do you mean the system's automatically approving something, or do you mean that the system just automates those approvals that are in that matrix.
It automates those approvals that are in that matrix. So immediately something that was set for the mayor and her limits would go to her or the city administrator, or it would be waited till council approves and things get signed off. So yes, and versus emails and things we shoot back and forth today.
Oh my goodness, that is just fantastic.
Right.
Great news. Thank you.
Of course. Anything else?
All right.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And staffing count adjust, or wait a minute, I'm sorry, back up. That's upcoming agenda items, informational only. So we'll skip all that and move into review of draft council agenda. Okay, usual call to order, pledge of allegiance, approval of agenda, public hearings and appointments. We have appointment of interim fire chief. And then a presentation from Sound City Association.
That is true. And can we add one other thing in there? We're going to appoint, actually, council will confirm an EDC appointment.
No, EDC appointment,
Yeah.
okay. Move the clerk will note that, yep. All right, Sound City Association Regional Involvement Presentation. And then we'll move on to consent agenda. Meeting minutes, approve the claim warrants, and you'll pick up the items that we had discussed prior.
Oh, definitely.
What was it?
Madrona and
The purchase of the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
077 and 8085.
and I thought we did one other one out of Parks and Public Works. I could be wrong because I was on.
did the trees go consent? I think the trees went. consent.
Yeah, I think the trees went consent, so, so agenda bill 23083. Contract for urban forestry improvements, that'll also go on consent.
And I also think the fire department strategic plan 083 was on consent.
Let me get back to this one. It's not that. All right, I gotta get back down to it.
That's probably in public safety, right?
Right, so we're taking out of public safety. Where'd it go? Right at the top, fire department strategic plan extension resolution. And that proposal was, that was consent. Okay. And I think that flushes out the consent agenda, no ordinances. Public Works will have the 6-year transportation, awarding prospect construction for waste facility phase 3. The forestry contact went up above, awarding contract installation site preparation for Centennial Fields Inclusive Park.
Next week.
Kimley Horn pros plan. Kimley Horn pros plan.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
The next one is that Kimley Horn pros plan.
Parks awarding contract for planning service parks. That's also the pros plan remains on there. I just couldn't remember the discussion on the other one, but whatever. Riverwalk, we moved that up to consent. So F&A will have, did we, I don't know if I asked, did Madrona consent or non-consent? Consent, okay. So
Consent,
F&A will
yeah,
have
consent
no
for that.
non-consent items. Okay, and then we'll move committee in the whole mayor's report. Commission liaison reports, council regional reports, executive session. You'll advise us if we need one that night.
We will, yes.
Yeah, things can change.
Let me know.
All right. Any other items
We
for
have
the
public
council
hearing?
agenda?
I moved the 6-year transportation up to public hearings because we have to have a public hearing on that. We advertised for that for Monday.
Okay, it ought to be in both places then. a public hearing on that and then the agenda bill down below.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I think I have a question from Councilmember Mayhew.
Thank you. Councilor Mayhew, go ahead.
Yeah, just curious on the STIP. So does that end up being a thing that, if you get the names wrong, a thing that requires 2 readings, or it's just a regular thing that we do in one?
The ordinance, isn't it?
I think it's just one, isn't it? It's
There's
just one.
One and done.
It's not an ordinance.
No.
Okay, just want to be sure.
Okay, no, good question. All right, hearing no other objections, we'll consider the council agenda as we just discussed and as captured by city clerk. Thank you, and yeah, put glasses on, take glasses off so you can see. With that, I believe we are at the end of the agenda. Is there any objections to adjourning? Hearing no objections, and I believe seeing no hands. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.